chosen places that we think that there might be a little bit of background material.
What do you think is controversial?
A lot of the usage of, let's see, they don't tell kids to seek their parents. So if they have like hospitality or AIDS or HIV infection, they don't.
Okay, in the interest of time, we need to get started. And I want to welcome you, first of all. My name is Mike Konefke. I'm with the San Antonio Family Association, and I'm just one of the affiliated with just one of the many associations in the Sex Respect Coalition. We want to thank you for being out here today. And I'd like to begin, like we do with all our meetings, with prayer and pledge. And I'd like to send it to Valerie, and she'll open us up with prayer.
You can all stand, please, for prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. May God grant us the wisdom to discover the right, the will to choose it, and the strength to make it endure for the sake of children and long-term domestic prosperity. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Thank you, Valerie. Let me start off first with welcoming you here. You're obviously, education's a big issue. You would not be here. And are there any Northeast Independent School District employees or trustees or volunteers? We'd like to recognize you if you are. We have invited them. We believe we had one in one of the earlier sessions. For the record, we do not believe that there is a conspiracy here. So if you came for some kind of conspiracy, that's not what we believe is taking place. We just feel like perhaps there might have been a lapse of good judgment on the trustees' part, or on the SHAC's part, or a derelict of duty, or we believe that it was a decision that simply was made without the true facts. And that's what we're going to show you here today. We have no agenda. We have nothing up our sleeves. We're going to show you the entirety of the program. They have told us, the district says, that there are certain pieces that are not going to be included. However, the Board of Trustees has approved the whole thing. So what they exclude was not in the proposal. So they didn't say, by mandate, we've excluded this, 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 or this. So they sent us to the vendor. We went to the vendor like they told us. We are showing it as it is. They need to take it from here. We have requested multiple times, and they have not responded to us. The purpose of the Board of Trustees is to set policy. So it's important for us to understand what they do. That policy that they set needs to be congruent with their mission and their vision. Now, having said this, one has to wonder why the trustee, or one of any of the trustees, would actually vote for the new sex education, which is Draw the Line, Respect the Line. That's the name. While at the same time honoring their code of ethics. I'm going to read the code of ethics to you. Number one, I will tell the truth. Number two, I will share my views while working for a consensus. I have no problem with those. Number three, I will respect the majority decision as the decision of this board. No problem there. They have to act in unity. The fourth one is, I will base my decision on fact rather than supposition, opinions, or public favor. So, like the old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? Right? We all remember that? Where's the beef? The trustees, we believe, should have been asking, where's the facts? Where's the data that supports the fact that we need to make this change? You see, because the data needs to be there, because here in San Antonio, you may not know this, but teen pregnancy rates have not moved dramatically in the last 30 to 40 years. Where are the facts that our kids need this? So let's start off with, first of all, the SHAC, which is the Student Health Advisory Committee, says that they've been looking at this for 3 years. We don't deny the fact that it's been an arduous deal. But let's stop right there. Where is the empirical facts that says we even need to do this? Well, I'll give you a quick example. If your neighbor came up to you after you jumped out of the car and they said, oh, you need some new tires, say, well, why do I need new tires? You would expect some data to say there's wear on the tires, or it's probably not healthy to be driving this, or safe to be driving this. It's the first thing we ask. And so that's what we're suggesting here, is that we did not get those facts. So in theory, is it possible that the district has a false perception on what is actually needed? And that really is our question to them that has yet to be answered. Facebook is a great example of false perceptions. We all know, boy, they have lived an exciting life. I must be a real bummer. So those perceptions oftentimes become reality to the beholder. So we hope to answer these 4 things for you. Number 1, after this program is over, is there evidence in your mind that indicate that there's a need for the change of the program? Number 2, what should be taught to 11, 12, and 13-year-old children? Now you're going to see a lot of things up here, 11, 12, and 13. We've got to put that in perspective. If you're around that age all the time, you don't have to put that in perspective. For me, it helps. Does draw the line, respect the line, in our opinion, and maybe your opinion, we ask the question, does it step over the line? And the last is, out of 30-plus evidence-based approved programs in the state of Texas, why in the world would they pick this one? And Kelly and Patrick will get into that a little bit more. For right now, we just want to show you the video, and then we'll take it from there.
Sorry, we are going to do the video in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and keep on talking here. It's my fault that we are starting late. Bad hair day, it didn't get any better, I tell you. So, what we're covering today, there's going to be a lot of information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website or contact us afterwards. Because like I said, we're talking about 3 years worth of material, and we're going to have to go through it a little bit faster. So what we started with is the Student Health Advisory Committee. It's called the SHAC. The SHAC meets and has subcommittees, and those subcommittees make decisions about health and PE and nutrition, those kinds of things. And then they recommend programs, vote on them, and send those programs to the school board. The school board then gets that recommendation and votes yes or no. In this case, they voted yes for draw the line, respect the line. And then, so that's going to be, draw the line, respect the line will be implemented in this school year, so which is why we're having the presentations now. As parents, you will have the option to opt in or opt out. There'll be a form where you can check a box, and you'll see that form a little bit later on in the presentation. So what is Northeast ISD going to teach? Northeast ISD School Board approved the middle school curriculum, Draw the Line, Respect the Line, in its entirety. It includes several lessons as well as possible adaptations. Now, we don't know what these possible adaptations are. They have not given them to us yet. So what we're going to do is show you the curriculum in its entirety. And we have bought the whole thing, and I have read every page and labeled all kinds of stuff. So if you have any questions, this would be a good place to start. Each tab means something. So, okay, we did receive this email from Northeast ISD. They do say that the district will present only factual definitions of all types of sex, so that students understand none is a safe option and there are consequences associated with engaging in each type of sexual activity. They go on to say students will receive guidelines on the use of condoms provided by the Center of Disease Control. So there will be instruction on the use of condom, how to put it on, how to take it off, that kind of thing. Okay, the state of Texas has already determined rules and guidelines as to how sex can be taught in schools. This is called the Texas Education Code. And let's take a better look at it here. It's 28.004. And what it says in this first paragraph here on number 2 is devote more attention to abstinence from sexual activity than any other behavior. Direct adolescents to a standard of behavior in which abstinence from sexual activity before marriage is the most effective way to prevent pregnancy, STDs, HIV, and AIDS. Number 5, teach contraception and condom use in terms of human use reality rates instead of theoretical laboratory rates. So whenever you see maybe like a birth control chart that shows the effectiveness of each type of birth control, what you're seeing is that laboratory results. So they took it in a lab and they tested it. Now those results are going to be a little bit higher than what we call human use, because you can't really control a lot of the variables that a 12-year-old might encounter when they're trying to put a condom on. So they can't say, you know, oh, condoms are 98% effective, because in reality with 12-year-olds, they're not 98% effective. And then, of course, last but not least, a school district shall make all curriculum materials using the district's human sexuality instruction available for reasonable inspection.
Excuse me, but what we're talking about 3 different grades who have 3 different TEKs.
Yes.
I've read this 6th grade. That's not the 6th grade TEK. What is that TEK?
This right here is a Texas education code. So this
Okay.
isn't necessarily the TEKS,
Okay.
but the code of how education should be taught. So they'll have a code for like how PE should be taught or how science should
Okay.
be taught. Basically, you can't, give children open flames and,
Right.
gasoline. Okay, so does draw the line comply with the Texas law? Is abstinence emphasized as the preferred choice? Is abstinence set as the expected standard of behavior? Is more attention devoted to condoms? I hope by the end of this lesson you'll be able to make those decisions for yourself. So is condom effectiveness portrayed in human use rates, we talked about those realistic rates, or is it overemphasized as safe sex? Because we need to be careful not to tell children 98% effective unless you're also 12 years old and you're not very comfortable with this kind of stuff and maybe you mess it up a couple of times. We need to make sure that they know that they know the reality of it. So in grade 6, just real quick, the emphasis is on making good decisions, not stealing, no alcohol, no smoking. Grade 7, they focus more on short-term consequences of unplanned sex, STDs. And then grade 8, they focus on, they'll be an HIV positive speaker, or they'll have a video that they'll watch, and they also have the condom demonstrations at that point. So, just so you know, these are the age of children, as Mike was saying, that we're looking at. 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. We're not looking at 16-year-olds who have jobs. We're not looking at 18-year-olds who can vote. We're looking at younger children. Okay. At all 3 grade levels, draw the line treat sex as an eventuality that a child should be ready for by protecting themselves with condoms. In reality, sex under the age of 13 is illegal, completely illegal, without exception. As Code 22.11 shows us that. This is because a vulnerable 12-year-old cannot consent to sex. This law was put into place to protect children from being abused and exploited. If a 9-year-old is having sex, there might be a problem. There could be some abuse, there could be some coercion. This is a very appropriate law. In fact, in general, a minor under the age of 17 cannot consent to sex. A curriculum that truly wanted to protect children would reinforce these laws and help students understand when and where to get help. If you have a 12-year-old who is having sex, there is a possibility that there's abuse, or that they're being coerced by an older boyfriend or girlfriend. In that case, let's not hand them a condom and say, well, here's how you protect yourself. Let's talk about what is at the root of this, what's going on, and how can we help you. That would be a little bit more responsible, I would think. Okay, so now we can get to that condom video. Sorry, it took me a second there, but I'm going to let Patrick kind of talk a little, set it up here about what kinds of things they discovered when they bought the education kit.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Patrick Von Dolan. My wife and I have 9 children so far. 7 of those children are attending Northeast Independent School District schools. And we've faced this issue for many years in sex education, starting in 5th grade, and what we would do and how we would handle it. And so which necessitates why we're having this education seminar. Because in the past, the Northeast Independent School District Administration would just tell me, oh, just opt your child out. You don't have to watch it, just opt your child out and don't worry about it. And that's what we've done. We have opted our children out every time. And I would say there was 2 that went in through 5th grade, but that was in elementary school, but none in middle school or high school. And so this video that's coming up here, when we ordered the kit, why do we order the kit? It's over here on the educator kit, ETR. ETR is the manufacturer, producer of the sex education that I'll call Draw the Line, Respect the Line, that the school board unanimously voted for and approved on May 9th. So we ordered the kit. When we talked to the administration, particularly Rachel Naylor, the director of health, she said not all the information will be included, and that was actually disclosed before. Well, you're choosing to move from one program to an evidence-based program, as they told us. And this evidence-based program, if you don't have fidelity to the whole program, it loses its integrity. You undermine it. And so we were told that when we asked about certain things, that some things wouldn't be included, but to refer to the manufacturer. So we did that. We went, Kelly ordered the books, and all the curriculums read them. We ordered the educator kit and have it here. And we've been told in full disclosure by the Northeast Independent School District they intend not to use the educator kit, but there's nothing in writing about that. Matter of fact, on May 9th, when they had the meeting, school board meeting, and I have it here if anybody would like to look at it, we have the agenda for the school board meeting, we have the minutes of the meeting, and we also have the minutes from the Student Health Advisory Committee, SHAC, and everything was proposed. And that proposal, real quick, I'll just read it to you, that was passed in its entirety, is under on May 9th, number 10, Part B, number 1. It says possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council, CHAC, Middle School Human Sexuality and Abstinence Education Recommendation. Presenters Donna Newman, you'll hear these names again by Kelly here in a few minutes. Associate Superintendent for Cabinet Administration was her, Donna Newman. And then Rachel Naylor, Director of Physical Education, Health and Athletics. And that's what was passed. No motion was made to restrict any curriculum. So as far as constituents and residents of Northeast ISD, is the whole curriculum was passed. ETR's production of Draw the Line, Respect the Line was passed in total. Now, Northeast Independent School District says they're not going to use all of it. But then the question bears, and parents ought to ask, why buy the program? If you're going to buy an evidence-based program but not subscribe to all of it, you're going to undermine the own evidence. And you can't trust the evidence, and because you don't have fidelity to it. So knowing that, we went and ordered the kit. And here's one of the videos that comes with the kit.
And your partner know what you're doing with a condom. Both men and women need to know how to use condoms. So let's go over it. I'm going to show you how to put a condom on a partner, but these are the same steps that a guy would take when putting a condom on himself. Always use a latex condom. They're highly effective at preventing pregnancy, HIV, and other STDs. If you or your partner is allergic to latex, you can use a plastic condom instead. Check the expiration date on the package. If it's past the date, use a newer condom. The package should look new. If it looks worn or damaged, use a new condom. Press slightly on the package to make sure that it's airtight, with no holes or tears. If there's a leak of any kind, use a new condom. When you finish checking the package, you're ready to open the condom. Open it carefully. Teeth, fingernails, and other sharp objects can damage the condom. Take it out of the package and see which way it unrolls. The condom will unroll easily when it's facing this way, but not when it's facing this way. The condom goes on as soon as the penis is hard and erect. Let me get my assistant. Pinch the tip to leave about ½ inch at the end. This leaves room for the semen so that the condom doesn't break when the man ejaculates. Hold it against the head of the penis. Then with your other hand, unroll it all the way down to the base of the penis. You can use some water-based lube on the outside of the condom now if you want. And that's it. After ejaculation, after the guy comes, take the penis out while it's still hard. Hold the rim of the condom around the base as it's pulled out. Be careful not to spill any semen. Take the condom off away from the partner's body. You can tie off the end and throw it in the trash. Don't flush it down the toilet. That can clog up the plumbing. If you're going to have sex again, use a new condom. Don't ever reuse a condom. How easy was that? Some condoms come lubricated, and others don't. Even with a lubricated condom, you might want to use some extra lube. Don't use oil-based lubes like Vaseline or lotion. Those can cause the condom to break. Be sure to use water-based lubes, like these. Some guys like to put a few drops in the tip before putting the condom on. But don't overdo it. Too much lube can make the condom fall off. Practice will help you feel comfortable and confident when using a condom. So make sure to get in lots of practice. Men can practice while masturbating. Women can use their imagination and practice on something that sort of looks like a penis. Remember, condoms help prevent pregnancy and STD, including HIV. Use a condom every time you have sex. Relax. Stay safe and have fun.
Okay, as you can see there's numerous. It's offensive as adults to watch that. It's grotesque, and to even imagine this being shown to 11 to 13-year-olds, sometimes 14-year-olds. Now, again, Northeast Independent School District says they're not going to use these tools. It might be because these actually violate the penal code in the state of Texas, and that's another good question to ask the administration. But why not the fidelity to the program? Because this is part of the evidence-based program called Draw the Line, Respect the Line, produced by ETR. And there's numerous issues with the video, but one of the most stark ones is the reference to man.
We're not talking about men here. We're talking about 11 to 14-year-olds. They're not men. They're children. They might be young men, we might refer to them, but these are prepubescent children who are not men. And so why are they directing the video towards girls and boys, but in this case girls, how to use a condom, and then reference a man? I find that very troubling from that standpoint. Not to mention the references and the encouragement of masturbation and everything else to normalize this kind of behavior that I think most parents, we would agree, is not what we want our children to be engaging in, and it's not healthy for them, mentally, psychologically, or physically. Well, what is Northeast Independent School District's mission? Let's back up and take a bigger picture. The mission statement, as Mike brought up the ethics for the Board of Trustees, what's the mission statement for students for the Northeast Independent School Districts? It is, verbatim, we challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. I summarize that responsible citizenship as trustworthy Texans. We want to grow these children into trustworthy people. So, how do we do that? And who has the right to do that? So, I think we'd all agree, parents have the ultimate right. But one of the problems with this, and Kelly get into that as well, and has actually touched on it, is parental authority is being usurped. And when you see what Kelly's going to present afterwards, you'll see how the encouragement is, if there's a problem, that children go and seek a health professional, not go seek their parents. Well, children have rights. Children have rights to be protected, to have safety, and have self-defense, to be able to be taught a virtuous education focused on objective truth. Parents have rights. Parents have the rights to teach their children, ultimately, particularly with regards to religion and sexual education, and saying no to improper things, but also to not be circumvented in the education process, even if they choose to use public schools. So who has the legitimate authority? We believe in this case, Northeast Independent School District has lost their legitimate authority to make these decisions because of choosing this terrible curriculum. Well, but Northeast Independent School District does a good job of teaching life skills, except when it comes to sexual education. So what are some of those life skills that are there? And those life skills that they teach, virtues and habits, 7 habits of happy kids. It's taken from 7 habits of highly effective people. The main thing I want you to get here is the consistency of the teaching. So what are those 7 habits? Be proactive, because you're in charge of you. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Think win-win. Seek first to understand, then be understood. Synergize, together better. Sharpen the saw, balance is best. Just those things alone, standing by themselves of beginning with the end in mind, that in itself, as a parent, disrupts and says, we shouldn't be having this sex education because the end in mind is condom use, is what they're promoting. And instead of the end in mind being, I want my child to be responsible and be chaste and be virtuous, because that's the way to true self-esteem that's good for the child. And so just in that case, the video and the sex education that they've chosen contradicts that. But do they teach it in elementary, middle school, and high school? Yes, they do. They're very good about that. The other things they do good are teaching compassion, responsibility, perseverance, self-discipline, honesty, respect, and giving. A lot of that's through sports, a lot of that's through scholastics, spelling bee contests. All those virtues are required to do those things well. And they're consistent in their teaching of elementary, middle school, and high school. So it's intellectually honest and scholastically consistent. That's a good thing. Why the divergence on sexual education is the question, because we had a program before called Choose the Best Path, and that was an abstinence-focused curriculum. Well, that abstinence-focused curriculum, we actually just found out earlier this week that the manufacturer of that curriculum is actually considered evidence-based too. That's something that was never brought up in all deliberations. As they're seeking and wanting to find an evidence-based curriculum, they failed to mention or didn't know themselves, maybe because they didn't read it, and that also came out in the deliberations and the proceedings, that not all of them had read the curriculum before they voted on it, and which is troubling in itself. We've heard that on a national level too, but it's how can you vote on something and not have read it? So what's the difference in choosing the best path? I'll come back to go to choose the best path, Kelly, if you don't mind. Okay, so this is a comparison put together actually by the manufacturer of Choose the Best Path. So know that, but it's taken from the findings of the evidence-based. And on the top, Choosing the Best Path has been used by Northeast School District for many years, I think about 6 years. And they had, on the top right, end of the school year, students who received
this curriculum, choosing the best path, were significantly more likely to delay by 1.5 times, to delay the onset of sexual behavior than students in a control group who did not receive the program. That's boys and girls, and Kelly will tell you more about the importance of that as well. So at the bottom, draw the line, respect the line produced by ETR. There were statistically no significant program impacts for girls on any measured outcome at any of the intervals 7th, 8th, or 9th. Why are you picking an inferior product when you already had one? So if you go back to this, okay, what's the difference between what we had and where we're going to? The technical terms are SRA and SRR. SRA stands for sexual risk avoidance, and SRR stands for sexual risk reduction. So avoidance is abstinence. Some things that you might be familiar with avoidance are no drinking and driving, no texting and driving, no drugs, no alcohol, no smoking. Some examples of sexual risk reduction. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Another risk avoidance is a one-way street. How many of you drop your children off at school? You have a one-way entrance to come in. That's risk avoidance to help protect those children. They don't say, let's have a two-way street and make sure you have a grill guard on your vehicle so you protect your vehicle. That doesn't make sense, does it? So it's one way. One way is risk avoidance, two-way is risk reduction. Now if we go back to the other slide, thank you. Sexual risk avoidance or abstinence is focused on abstinence. And 50% or more of the page content has to be devoted to abstinence. That's actually Texas law. And from that standpoint, mind you, ETR, the producer of Draw the Line, Respect the Line, comes out of California and not Texas. So that's probably why they're having to say that some things aren't going to be in there. But the philosophy of sexual risk avoidance is for teen sex or casual sex is problematic. And even if contraception is used, and the best, healthiest thing for them is to delay sexual initiation, preferably until marriage. That's what's healthiest. On the right, sexual risk reduction, also the code word for that is comprehensive sex education. CSE, you might see it, CSE, comprehensive sex education. On the right is they typically devote less than 5% of the curriculum to abstinence. Now that would break Texas code, Texas law, because Texas law states it has to be 50% or more devoted to abstinence. And it is also, sexual risk reduction also focuses on risk reduction. The message is mixed. Teen sex is actually one of the worst things is teen sex is actually expected. So psychologically, the curriculum is set up to where it's expected to be having sex during that time frame, or masturbating, or whatever it is. And the focus, the goal is to increase contraceptive use, not increase or maintain chastity. So psychologically, it's a huge change. One of the things that Sandy Wolf did, who's on the board of trustees, asked for a comparison between the two curriculums. That comparison between the two curriculums is still yet to be produced. We've asked for it as well. So does it make sense to say, don't smoke, but if you choose to, make sure that they're filtered cigarettes? It doesn't. And we can all do that. So they say kids are going to do it anyway, and that's why the divergence. Well, kids are going to smoke anyway. Kids are going to possibly drink anyway. Kids might do all sorts of things anyway, but we don't encourage that behavior or teach them how to do it. Why the divergence on sex and sexual education? Why the intellectual dishonesty and the scholastic inconsistency of that program? Let's be consistent. They do a great job. Northeast School District does a great job of teaching those other things of avoidance, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever it might be. Avoid those things. They don't teach them how to do it otherwise because they're going to do it anyway. Why the divergence on that? So I encourage you, ask the administration, why the divergence philosophically and scholastically be inconsistent in the teaching. So the last thing that I have you know is that ETR as a curriculum, do I have another slide in there? ETR as a curriculum and a manufacturer based out of California actually had a direct affiliation with Planned Parenthood. Now they have an indirect affiliation with Planned Parenthood. What's Planned Parenthood's business model? Planned Parenthood's business model is based on getting kids to experiment. Sexual experimentation in all sorts of forms, we won't go into that. But their business model is very much based on that situation of getting kids hooked on things, including sex, using contraception, that leads to STDs, and then eventually, for many, abortion, surgical abortion, and it is a vicious cycle. ETR has distanced themselves from that, it seemed to be, except until yesterday. ETR actually published an old Planned Parenthood advertisement that says contraception has been in existence for over 4,000 years. It's Planned Parenthood exists on the ETR's Facebook page. Now, do we believe Northeast Independent School District is in bed with them? No.
That's a terrible pun, I apologize for that. But the important part is that the curriculum is very much in line with the business model, business plan of Planned Parenthood. So ask those questions. Why are you adopting a sexual education model that seems to be remarkably similar to Planned Parenthood's business model? It'd be best for our children to avoid those things. Last thing I'm going to leave you with is on, if you could, Kelly, go back to that slide on this, we'll do it real quick. On the pamphlet, one of the pamphlets that comes with this has a scattergram, a QR code you can take, and it'll take you to the 3 videos that are there. You saw one of them today. But at the top on the left it says, using condoms is like learning to wear a seatbelt all the time. It takes practice to make it a habit. How outrageous. And so it's on this and as well, and you can see it. But on the back of here, the same pamphlet that has this, let me read this to you and I'll leave you with this last thought. How concerned would you be as a parent? Ask your healthcare provider about emergency contraceptive pills. They can prevent pregnancy if a condom breaks. Why in the world would we allow our children now? Northeast Independent School District says they're not going to give these out. Again, it's another tool, part of the draw the line, respect the line. Why are you leaving it out? But they say they're not going to. But still, nonetheless, that has twofold problems. One is it encourages use of chemical drugs that can cause a chemical abortion, do cause chemical abortion. This would be called a Plan B. Second is it circumvents the parents again. So as a parent to parents, I would encourage you to ask these questions. Be glad to visit you afterwards or take questions, but let Kelly come back up here and know that you're not alone in this. Your elected officials here, Senator Donna Campbell and also Kim Mercer, board member of the State Board of Education, have written a letter to the Northeast Independent School District expressing concern as well. I'll be glad to share that with you as well. And know that you're not alone. There's lots of people concerned about it. And we need to protect our children, so please join us and ask those questions of the Northeast Independent School District. Thank you.
All right. As Patrick was talking about, that letter is in your packet. It's in your folder here at the back. And I encourage you, we're going to be kind of going through the packet a little bit. And what I've done is I printed these out from the actual curriculum. And the reason is because it's a little bit difficult to just see it on the screen. So if you want to be able to look at it and read it in its entirety, it is here for you. At the end of the session, I will have to collect these packets, though, because it's a copyright issue for you to take them home. And, you know, I know you want to teach sex ed right off of these packets, right? Okay, so Tina and Marco. Let's go ahead and turn to Tina and Marco. They are, I believe, 2-3 pages in there. So Tina and Marco, this is 7th grade, and you can always know which grade you're in because it says it towards the bottom there. It'll say grade 7 on the bottom of the page. So in several of these stories, we have 3 listed here, and it's really 3 out of 3. We see training students in sexual role play. Sexual role play meaning that Tina and Marco went into the bedroom. Soon they were lying in bed and kissing and touching. They didn't talk about having sex, it just happened. They were drinking punch with alcohol in it. Their friends were talking about doing it. Marco started touching Tina, and that kind of felt good, but it was a little bit embarrassing. So what we're doing here is instead of practicing the right way to handle it, such as soon as Marco starts touching and Tina says, well, respect my limit, we go right into sex, which is, of course, not what we want to do when we want to train kids, teach them the right way to do it. We practice the right way. We don't practice the wrong way. If you keep going, we have Tina and Marco's worksheet on the other page here, and it says, 3 weeks later, Tina is late. What does she say to Marco? She's late on her period, so she could be pregnant. This is a very delicate conversation, maybe one reserved for parents. That could be something you decide. Then we move on to James and Alana. I'm sorry, I'm going through a little bit quick, but you'll have time to look at it. Alana has a friend named Lisa. She thinks it's smart and sexy to have sex. She says it's the best way to keep a guy interested in you. James doesn't want to have sex, but he doesn't want to have to be the last guy in the world to have sex. So finally, James and Alana get together, and they get to work, and he's thinking, this feels really good. I wonder if it feels as good to her as it does to me. Otherwise, she would tell me, right? We're talking about a rape culture. And the rape culture, one of the biggest problems is that there are no boundaries or limits. Nobody communicates and says, hey, do you want to have sex? They just go at it, and until somebody is screaming no, then we have a real big problem. So what does this promote? Does this promote a woman saying, no, this is my limit? No, this just promotes just continuing on until somebody finally says something. And then we go on to Trina and Kashi. Trina just had a fight with her family, and she goes over to her boyfriend's house. When Trina comes over, they hung out for a while in the living room. Then Kashi put his arms around Trina, and they began to kiss. They were both a little nervous at first, but pretty soon Kashi was touching Trina through her clothing. So they continue on, but then he noticed how much he was enjoying it and thought, she knew we'd be alone. Maybe she wants it. Everybody seems to think it's just what we're supposed to do. Maybe just this once won't be a problem. And the only reason they are interrupted from sex is because their parents come home. Again, we are not practicing the correct way to handle these situations. Again and again, we are practicing how to do it the wrong way at 11 and 12 and 13 years old. Next, we move on to Shannon's story. And, oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. So is this legal? Can students have these role plays? Is it healthy to have these students practicing these role plays? And does this develop healthy hearts and minds, which is Northeast ISD's goal? Okay, next we moved into parental rights. So our parent rights being to be involved in their children's medical care being undermined and usurped by DTL. So once children have been taught how to have sex through these role plays and condom demonstrations, Draw the Line gives them clinic options and anonymous hotlines. It never once mentions talking to your parents. You can look through all my little tabs there, and I would clearly label if there was parents in there. Not at all. The word parents does not appear for 50, 100 pages. It does not appear. And the reason is because they want you to be calling these info hotlines anonymously. Well, I guess the question is do they want us to be calling these info lines anonymously? So Shannon has an STD. She's embarrassed to talk to anyone, but finally she decides to call the CDC prevention hotline. She reminds herself that no one will know that she's called this hotline. The woman tells Shannon she can go to her personal doctor and clinic at her school, or clinic to her local health department. There may even be a teen clinic. Not once is Shannon directed to her parents. She could be 12 years old with herpes, who needs medical attention, and she has not told her parents at this point. Nor does it encourage her to tell the parents. We keep moving on in the packet, and we see STD fact sheet. Teens can go to a health clinic, a teen or school clinic, a special STD clinic, or a regular doctor, not your parents. We don't mention our parents here if we might have herpes or AIDS or HIV or any of that. Then we go on to STD homework. This is where the student is asked to call the CDC hotline or go on the website and ask questions about STDs. Doesn't sound bad, except that the people on the hotline aren't trained like teachers are trained as to what you can and cannot say to children. There can be some very sensitive material, and we do not want a sexual harassment thing happening here, or just sexual information given that is not appropriate at this age. So this is the homework. Again, we don't talk to parents. We don't say, hey, mom and dad, what would I do if I thought I was sick? What kinds of things are normal? Nothing like that. Now we have a talk show script. This is where the teacher is talking to the student, and she says, as soon as something is wrong, or if you've had sex and it was unprotected, you should see a doctor. Not your parents, not your older sister, not an adult you can trust, but a doctor. All by yourself, getting real prescription medicine in your body without telling anyone about it. Because I know every 12-year-old knows what they're allergic to when it comes to medication, right? So let's go back to the SHAC for a second. So the SHAC, again, is the Student Health Advisory Committee. It's a larger group with those subcommittees, and one of them is a sex ed subcommittee. Each subcommittee must be made of community members, parents, and they must be the majority, and teachers and staff. I was able to sit in these meetings, and so I have information about that. But what I saw when I came in was very interesting. We all had little name tags set up, and the sex ed subcommittee table is all full. Not so much the nutrition. Nobody wants to talk about celery, I guess. Everybody wants to talk about sex. And it's all full. And I'm seeing these name tags, and I'm seeing UT Health Science Center, Metro Health, let's see, City of San Antonio, all these name tags. And I'm thinking, where are the parent name tags? Well, there's a few parents, as I'm talking to them, there's a few parents. But it does seem like there's a lot of people who are not parents or teachers. I guess they're community members. Let me count. Turns out that 20% of them were from this group, Project Work, UT Teen Health, Healthy Futures, City of San Antonio, Metro Health. It's all one big group that has a lot of organizations kind of inside of it. So they were sitting on the SHAC. And what I noticed is a gentleman named Mario Martinez. He works for the City of San Antonio. He would present curriculums. And in his presentations, it would be a pretty general, bland presentation, just a little chart that said, this is how many weeks we're going to teach it. This is the objective. And everyone, the parents and the teachers who aren't sex ed professionals would say, okay, that sounds good, that sounds good. And then he kind of was seen as like the expert. And so, we would talk back and forth, and then eventually there would be a vote. Well, I learned later when I went home that Mario Martinez works for Metro Health, and that all of these people had something to gain by having certain curriculums chosen. So if you look in your packet, I listed several grants the city, that UT Health Science Center and the City of San Antonio has received, and it adds up to $10 million over a 5-year contract. When you receive a grant like this, you have to implement it into a school district or several school districts. So what happened was UT Health Science Center received this grant. They need to implement it into a district. Well, who can they use? Northeast ISD. How can they get Northeast ISD to choose UT Health Science Center to teach sex ed? Well, they have to sit on the shack, and that's what they did. So they sat on the shack, they acted as the experts on the shack, and they coerced and even pushed their program. Here, if you look more in your packet, I have an MOU, it's a Memorandum of Understanding. And it says, Northeast ISD intends to collaborate with the city during the planning phase to ensure school, parent, and community support. When was this signed? A year ago. So before the vote for this sex ed program was even taken, the city had already said they were going to cooperate with Northeast ISD, and Northeast ISD had already said, we will cooperate with you to pick a sex ed program that is in this grant. So was this a non-biased field, or did we have people in there who had a vested interest? That is a good question, something that we want to consider. So these are some of the players. Diane Boyard, she is a nurse at Northeast ISD. She also sits on the board of Healthy Futures, which is an organization that is aimed at preventing teen pregnancy, also is benefiting from these grants. So she had voting power, so is that a conflict of interest? Should she have sat there? We also have Janet Riolini. Now she has started many different groups, Healthy Futures, Project Worth. She's also on this Preventing Teen Pregnancy in the City of San Antonio Coalition. And she wrote the curriculum Big Decisions. Where do we see Big Decision? In Northeast ISD High School. So she was also a part of, she was at the school board meetings helping to promote her program because she benefits from it financially. Okay, so why UT Health? Why do they care? Why are they a part of this? So if Northeast ISD says, hey, UT Health, you can help us implement the sex ed program. Mario Martinez has done a great job presenting, and you can help us. What does that give UT Health access to? It gives UT Health access to Northeast ISD. So they can come to your school and build a clinic at the actual school. They can come to your lunchroom and put a table out where they can have all kinds of brochures. So even if you opted your child out, they can get a brochure about oral sex right here during lunchtime. They can have the city of San Antonio send out a bus that I guarantee you is not full of candy, but probably full of information on how to get birth control. And then they have several locations in which they can direct you. So I was challenged by a parent at one of the meetings that students can't get health care without their parents' permission, so I decided to check. And I called the number, and I spoke, and I pretended to be 15, and I had a 13-year-old friend who was turning 14, but we were interested in birth control, and we weren't sure that our parents were on board. And this woman was very sweet, and she goes, oh, you're a teen, we have a program for that. We have a Metro City Health program for that. And I said, I've heard about that. Get me in on that. And she said, sure, come on in. The nurses will talk to you. We can set you up. I said, well, when can I start the birth control? And she says, depending on which kind, we can start you right away. Now, I called back later and asked some more questions. Depending on the funding, I may or may not need my parents' permission. Okay, so this is another question we need to be asking UT Health, UT Teen Health is, do kids need their parents' permission? Do their parents even need to be there? Can I go home and get a permission slip signed and bring it back and get my shot of contraceptives without my family even knowing? And of course she assured me that if I needed condoms, I could walk in at any time and get them for free. So, ironically, you have to sign a form, a permission slip to give a kid aspirin at school. But when you have all the UT Teen Health coming into your school with all this information, how protected really are our children at that point? Is Draw the Line, Respect the Line promoting that parents don't know what's best for their child? These are all good questions we need to be asking the school board. We don't know all the answers. We're challenging you to do that. So after all of this, you found out there's condoms, there's sexual role plays, there's STD information that says just go to a clinic. There's UT Health Science Center coming into our schools. Does Draw the Line, Respect the Line even work? The answer is not for our girls. Unfortunately, the program that they picked works a little bit for boys, but has been proven not to help girls at all. And this study followed the girls over a year. And I have the study right in here for you where it's all highlighted as to the part where girls are not affected. So if we're going to choose a program, even if we want a program that has condoms in it, why not choose one that works? Because this one doesn't work. It just says right here, boys participating In the intervention, we're significantly less likely to report ever having sexual intercourse. And this one says the study found no statistically significant program impacts for girls on any of these outcomes. So, if not draw the line, then what? Currently, there's a list of approved evidence-based programs. That is the 30-plus list that Mike spoke about. We are asking that the SHAC go back to this list and pick a curriculum that better serves the students and parents of any ISD. We recently found out, as they alluded to, that Choose the Best, which is the program they used last year, is on this list. So we don't even have to change anything. We don't have to buy anything. We can continue on with what we have. Or we can go back to that list and pick one that is, fancier or newer or shinier, whatever it might be. So what can parents do? You can opt your child out. You'll get a form that looks like this, and you want to check that box that says, no, thank you. You can tell your principal you don't want to draw the line in your school. You can contact the school board and let them know you don't want your child subjected to draw the line. And if your school board trustee, because it's divided up by your, basically your high school, like this is the Johnson cluster right here, so your trustee is Shannon Grona. If they won't protect your child, then don't vote for them. They work for you, and it's their job to protect your child. And if you have questions or need more info, this is our website. So, any questions?
Can you make available, not the copyright protected,
Sure.
but the things, are those things available on your website?
I can put them up specifically. Did you want like
Well,
some of the?
all of the things that are not copyright.
Right. Yes, I can put those on there. Yes. Yeah, we can put those. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm trying to, website design is not my thing, but.
Well, because it is a violation of copyright. We've already been hit by that. So we'll do that. Questions? Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes,
I have a
Joe.
question. If I am a parent with a child in Northeast Independent School District, and I see all this egregious stuff happening, what can I do to tell my school board that this is wrong and I don't want it? And it needs to go back to what the right stuff was.
Shelley?
We can definitely, I recommend getting a hold of them with their email or calling their office. They have secretaries and things like that too you can get a hold of, and just meeting with them. A face-to-face meeting does worlds of good. And they really do want to know what you want. They just don't know. And all they have is the recommendation of the SHAC. And the SHAC says, this looks good. They didn't really have time to read it over. When Mario Martinez presented it to them, he didn't read any of the stuff that we read, so they might not even know all of this junk is in here. So they need you to tell them. So that's what we're asking. Thank you.
Well, we met with Brian Gotardi,
That's
and
the
superintendent, and Patrick and I, and we sat down with him. He says, "Okay, tell us what you got, because you know more about this than I do."
Sad.
And it just underscores, I'm not saying he's ignorant. He's not ignorant. He's a doctor. But he did not read it, just like the rest of them. And there's talk that whatever the superintendent wants, he or she usually gets from the board. So that's it. Other questions? Yes.
The parents that are on the SHAC, how are they chosen?
Are they
They're
vetted?
appointed by school board members. So we do have applications, so you can apply, and that would be good that they get kind of a fresh batch of people they can pick from. Of course, you do have to be appointed, so I can't guarantee it, but it's a good thing to apply.
The deadline's Monday, by the way.
I gave you the forms.
I just have a comment. They keep saying that they're not going to use that material. But in Texas, as long as that material falls within the TEKS, they can teach it if it's there in the curriculum.
Sure.
Now, they may get in trouble from the school board or from the school itself, but that material's there for it. Even though it's not in the scope and sequence of what the school is going to do, a teacher has that's why we have Common Core being taught now in school. Because it follows the TEKS. You can use it, back it up with the TEK, and so you can use it.
And that's been our story, is that the whole time the Northeast Independent School District is saying that we are giving misinformation. We only are giving the information that was approved. We don't have anything else. We've asked them for clarification, and they haven't given to us. The point is, they do have the latitude to do whatever it is, to include that video, even though initially I think we all agree that their intentions are they're not going to use the prop, they're not going to use the video. We believe that. But what about 3 years from now, 6 years from now, 9 years from now, when these people aren't here, and this is a whole new crop of people? Who's going to monitor it then?
Plus, you have these workbooks that each student will get. They'll literally have to tear out dozens of pages that talk about the, you know, the condom stuff if they really want it to the kids never to see it, and that would not doesn't seem very intelligent. I'm going to do it.
One more question? Yeah.
It seems that this new curriculum, Draw the Line, is not only promoting condoms, but as a fail-safe mechanism to protect children, not only from on pregnancy, but also from STDs, HIV. Is there any history or scientific background on condom usage?
Yeah, there is. We possess a study from Austin, and this study talks about 100% used condom user. And it's a study that took 4 years to go through. It's very extensive. If you ever read one of these studies, if you ever need to fall asleep, read one of these studies because it is that scientific, that deep. And the conclusion of that study is there is no such person on the planet Earth. They don't exist for lots of reasons, most of them behavioral reasons, heat of the moment reasons, all kinds of reasons. So that's one. The second is that a virus is 50 to 100 times smaller than the molecule structure, the structure of the molecule, and so the virus goes through the condom anyway. People don't realize that, and I always liken it to green energy. You know, if you drive an electric car, you think, oh man, I'm adding to the planet. Yet you don't realize that 2 times the pollution is being dumped if the electricity is coming from a coal burning electric is 2 times that over a gas. But you feel good because you see it. Okay, so same thing with the condom. I can see I caught all the semen here, so I must be okay. And the truth is, you may be infected. Yeah. So if you want information on that study, see us afterwards. I get that information to you. Any other questions? I would encourage you to sign the petition. And if you would, if you feel moved to do so, take a petition with you. We encourage you to get other parents involved. Let them know some of this. The resource, the website that Kelly talked, is a wealth of resources. And you can get this information. You can call us, do whatever it is. We'll set up a separate meeting. If you want to have something at your house where you have a dozen parents just get together for a cup of tea or something like that, we'd be happy to come by and share the story with you. And so that's what it's going to take. And it's our hopes that so many parents have seen the truth, they start saying, I don't want this. And they're opting out. And if we get 25, 30, 50% of the parents opting out, then I think the school district is going to rethink this whole idea. So thank you for attending today. And we'll be here if you have any questions afterwards.
And there's a duplicate of these sessions tomorrow, 2 of them.
Yes, tomorrow is
Brook Hollow, and I think here again.
Brook Hollow, Brook Hollow at 11.
Yeah, and then Encino in the evening. So
And right here in the evening, yeah.
What
So,
time?
4:30.
4:30 tomorrow. So I encourage everyone anyone that you know to come on by. Thank you. Have a good day.